Presidential candidate Ron Paul, veteran, doctor, congressman, and author of books on everything from pregnancy to why our freedom is under siege.
Our national sovereignty is under threat.
He's come under fire for his candor on Iraq and his position on America's foreign policies.
Our foreign policy is designed to protect our oil interests.
Paul's mantra of personal liberty, small government, and a return to the Constitution have ignited the passions of many.
We love you, Dr. Paul.
Ron Paul's supporters complain that the mainstream media distorts their candidate's views, or worse, ignores him altogether. But that ends tonight. Presidential contender Ron Paul for a full hour of honest questions. Well, hello, America. I'm sure we have quite a few new people watching the show tonight, but for those of you who have watched or listened to me on the radio for a while, you know that I am actually a libertarian at heart. I believe so deeply in our Constitution. I believe the free market system is the answer. We, the people, are really the answer to almost every problem we face. If you watch this program often, you'll all probably also know that I believe our country is in deep, deep trouble. Our enemies are both foreign and domestic, and they are circling like sharks just waiting to attack. Meanwhile, we continue to give up our sovereignty to international treaties and world bodies, talk global warming and higher taxes. Our constitutional rights are slipping away, and our government seems to be hell-bent on ushering in the Great Depression 2. All of that is why I've wanted to sit down for so long now with Congressman and Republican presidential candidate Ron Paul. By speaking out on the issues that virtually no one else wants to touch, he has struck a nerve with the disenfranchised American who is sick and tired of the same old rhetoric from the same old people. But he has also struck a nerve with people who believe that his small government, free market at all costs approach is impractical, outdated, and in some cases, dangerous. I'll have you know on the outset, I'm in both of those camps. Tonight, we're going to explore both sides, and it is my hope that Dr. Paul will finally have the time he needs to fully explain his positions on the things that cannot be addressed in 30-second sound bites like, let's abolish the FBI. Congressman Paul, welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you, Glenn. Nice to be with you.
Okay. You're on the campaign trail, which is the reason why you're not in the studio now. And I want to get to some of your more controversial positions later on in the program. But I thought we would start on a few of the things that I almost never see anybody talk about with you, the real things that most conservatives do agree with you on. I want to start by playing a clip of something you said just last week in the debate in Iowa.
Reread the oath of office, take it seriously, obey the Constitution. We are well defended against all enemies foreign. We should be much more careful about defending against the enemies domestic.
Who, sir, who do you believe are the enemies domestic?
I don't see them as individuals or personalities. I see it as a philosophic danger endorsed by the status quo. Most members of Congress, most members who have been in the executive branch over the years, the undermining of our personal economic liberties, our privacy. There's been a special erosion of these privacy issues since 9/11. So it is something that's been ingrained in our system. You know, economic liberty is very, very important, but that's been undermined, you know, for 70 or 80 years, especially since the Depression. So I see them in philosophic terms rather than in personality terms.
Let me go to the UN. You say the UN shouldn't even exist.
Well, I don't have any saying about whether they should exist or not. I just am arguing that it's not in our best interest to be in the UN. The very first thing the UN did after World War II was they took us to war. I mean, Truman went to war, didn't even tell the Congress, and you know, we're still in Korea. And, you know, the Constitution is very clear. Only Congress can declare war. A lot of men died over there. So I don't like going to war under the UN banner.
You say the choice is very clear. We either follow the Constitution or submit to UN global governance. I happen to agree with you, sir. I mean, I see the Lost Treaty. I see the issue of global warming as nothing but trying to entangle us and the rest of the world into one world government. Would you agree or disagree with that?
No, I agree with it. I think our trade agreements do the same thing. You know, whether it's the WTO or you know, the World Bank or the IMF or NAFTA or CAFTA, these are taking away our sovereignty. Even today, the WTO today was telling us that we shouldn't pass this agriculture bill. I'll probably, not vote for the agriculture bill, but should I do it because the WTO tells me not to? So I don't like this undermining of our national sovereignty. And we've allowed this to happen.
You have said, though, that this is not some, if I may quote you, it is not as much a sinister conspiracy. The knowledge is out there. If you just look for it, you realize that our national sovereignty is under threat. But I have to tell you, and we're going to get into economics here in a few minutes, but when you look at both parties, you will see them. I mean, look at the budget that has recently come out. You'll see that they are almost intentionally sabotaging us every step of the way. How else could you explain some of the things that are going on at the border, with the loss treaty, with our budget, our monetary policies? I mean, how do you say it's not a sinister conspiracy?
Yeah, I guess it may be semantics that we're dealing with, but I see it's a conspiracy in the sense that some people believe in globalism, some people believe in the North American Union. I don't. It used to be more secretive. You know, the New World Order was talked about 30 or 40 years ago, and nobody would say it out and open. Now they talk about the New World Order, so it's not as secretive and it's not as conspiratorial as it was 50 or 60 years ago. People believe in internationalism, and I think they're very sincere. They just think the world would be better off if we had one world government. I don't. I mean, I don't even like the size of our federal government, let alone one world government. I want government to be local.
I've tried to explain this in a chapter, the last chapter of a book that I have out on Mexico, and say that I don't believe that these people are intentionally. I think if I sat down with the people who are messing with our sovereignty down south of the border, I believe they would tell you, Glenn, this is in the best interest of the country, but they are not shooting straight. Let's talk a little bit about the NAFTA superhighway, where you have an opinion that this is part of the joining of Mexico and Canada and the United States under one kind of EU-style government, but they'll deny it. They'll say that's not true. You're crazy if you believe that.
I saw a major editorial today against me for being concerned that there could be a North American Union in our future. I don't think it's next month or next year, but they probably talked 50 years about the European Union, and I think the plans are definitely there. I think that's why they're very weak on border protection and very weak on the immigration issue, because the leadership of both Republicans and Democrats aren't that concerned about borders. They're more interested in the North American Union.
Well, you say you don't think that would happen, yet I find that hard to believe if you're sincere on this belief. If you've done your homework, you know that the ambassador to the UN from Mexico says it has to happen before our Social Security and baby boomers start to retire. Well, that's just a few years away.
Well, let me clarify that. I'm concerned about it and I'm fighting it. It's just that I don't think it's going to happen next month or next year. But I think the plans are being laid there. And sometimes individuals who promote world government are very, very patient. And our side is very easy to forget or let our guard down. And what I'm trying to do is alert the American people that they ought to be alarmed about what's happening, and hopefully we can stop it. I think we've made progress there. So quite a few states have, written some resolutions in objection. Texas has done this, and it's not like we've thought this up. If everybody in Texas legislature can vote and say, let's put a moratorium on these plans for a superhighway coming through, there must be something to it.